Alright, lesson number 2 in dividing polynomials is a little different. It's called factor and cancel. The reason is, in the denominator now, to divide by, we have a factor. And the only thing that's going to cancel out a factor, that's one of these binomials here, so it has two terms. The only thing that's going to cancel that out is another factor just like it. So what I want you to do is take your trinomial here, your quadratic, and I want you to go to your x and factor that. Remember what you have. You've got, I'm going to write that again here so I don't have to go so far for it. So you've got your first times your last, that's 1 times 6, that's 6 goes in the top, and that middle number goes in the bottom. Now we've got to find the two numbers that multiply to the top but add to the bottom. That would be 1 times 6. 1 times 6 is 6, 1 plus 6 is 7. So let's go ahead and put them right here in a row. So we're replacing 7x with 1x and 6x, and then we'll go ahead and write the plus 6 next. After that, it's factor by grouping, so take the first two, pull out the GCF of x. That gives me an x and a 1 left over. The GCF of my second two is that positive 6, which gives me an x plus 1 left over. So my two factors from here, I'm going to jump right back up here, were the thing that repeats in the inside, so x plus 1, and the stuff on the outside, that leftover stuff, so x plus 6. And we're going to take those two factors now, and we're going to divide by x plus 6. Do you see where it's happening? We're saying multiply by x plus 6 and divide by x plus 6. That's going to cancel out. So your final answer is just x plus 1. You can put your parentheses or not. Doesn't matter. The next type of factoring, still factoring, but it's a binomial, and we've got perfect squares. That means we've got x times x, and we've got 4 times 4. So the same number multiplies to both of those. So when you have one of these, you factor it a special way. You've got plus and minus, the exact same thing, the x and the x, the 4 and the 4. So x plus and minus 4. Now this one says we want to divide by x plus 4, so that's going to be canceled out right here. And the leftover factor is x minus 4, so that's your final answer. Alright, this next one's a binomial, but it's not like this one where we had 4 times 4. We can't find a perfect square that multiplies to 8, and this n right here is not a perfect square either. So let's try what else we can, which is GCF, giving you a hint there. So what goes into both 8 and 4? Well, 4 goes into both of those, and they each have a n in common. So 2 n's here, 1 n, so we can take out the 1. So when I pull out 4n, 4 times 2n would make my 8n squared. 4n times negative 1 would make that negative 4n right there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this part down. So divide by 2n minus 1. So I see that that cancels out the factor in parentheses. So the leftover 4n is my answer. Alright, this one says factor completely, so we want to check always for GCF to start with. 2, 5, and 12. 2 and 5 are prime and they don't go into 12, so that's not going to work. So then we're going to go to our x, and we're going to factor this one right here. We want to divide it by this factor right there. So let's see what we get. First times last is negative 24. Needs to add to negative 5. Think of all the things that multiply to negative 24 but would add to negative 5. Hopefully you're thinking 8 and 3, as long as the 8 is negative. So I'm going to replace my negative 5m with my negative 8m and my positive 3m, and then bring down my minus 12. It's time for factor by grouping, so pair that off. I've got a GCF of 2m in my first two, which gives me an m minus 4, and a GCF of just a positive 3 in my second two, which gives me an m minus 4. Well, my two factors are my 2m plus 3, these stuff outside. So here and here is where I got that from. And that repeating stuff inside is another one of my factors. And I want to divide this all by 2m plus 3. So hopefully we see what's happening now. That's going to cancel out, and our leftover answer is just m minus 4. Final answer for that third one. Alright, you have practice below, and you have some homework below that. Go ahead and give it a try.